there'd been convoys going back and forward, so we went and stood down there. After about 2 hours, we realised nothing was coming, so we moved further up towards the airfield. And eventually this line of Humvees started coming towards me, the United States Marine Corps Humvees. And I remember thinking back to this story about Afghanistan and Iraq, where the drivers at the front of the Humvees were told that if you see kids on the road, don't stop. You run them over. And I started thinking, how privileged am I that I'm white and these guys are going to stop for me? Because if I was in Iraq or Afghanistan, I'd be dead by now. And so these cars came and stopped, and they pointed their rifles. They had blank firing attachments on them, so I didn't feel danger or any threat. And guys started coming out, the big Yankee voices, "Step away from the vehicle, sir. Step away." That's terrible. Step away. Anyway. And I didn't, and I stood there and I waited, and eventually I started engaging in conversation with this gunnery sergeant who'd been in the Marine Corps for 8 years. And he was so adamant that we were on the same page. He wanted peace as well. He was interested in protecting me and my family, and he would kill anyone who tried to hurt me. And when I tried to convey to him that the reason people may want to hurt him, that it means because of people like you who use violence against other people. That security does not come through the gun or through the sword. Security comes from working things out and loving each other. And we engaged in this conversation for about an hour, and it went from being very friendly to when he realised I wasn't moving to quite stressed and strained again. I went from being his #1 guy to being someone he didn't like very much. And then we left. But this story, and it's such a visual, there's two competing stories, like how do we get peace? Do we get peace by shooting anyone who disagrees with us? Or do we get peace by talking it out and working things out and negotiating? How do we build peace? And these are the two stories that we compete for. Last week, whilst driving along a road in the Ural province in Afghanistan, 6 children died from a precision drone strike. And the people who tell the story that we get peace through violence are responsible for that. And they come from our society, and they tell us that those kids died and it's a shame that those kids are dead, but that's just collateral damage, and that's a big mistake, and that happens. What about the families of those people who died? What about the children who will no longer know life because we allow that to happen? And we know from Ed Snowden that Pine Gap is related and is used in these drone strikes and in these plane strikes. Our government, our taxes are paying for those drone strikes which are killing kids in Afghanistan and Yemen and faraway countries. People will never get a choice or a chance at life. And so what do we do about it? I can't tell you what to do. That's one of the beauties of the peace-building movement. I can't tell you what to do, but I do know we need to get in the way. If anyone knows of anything they want to do at Pine Gap, talk to me. I'm happy to come and do an action up there. But if you're interested and you're like, I've kind of got a job and I've got a family and I've got things to do, that's okay and understand. Because in 2 years' time, 2015, it's going to be 100 years since Anzac Day, and we're going to be told this story over and over again, that we bring peace through the gun, we bring peace through the sword. And we're going to be told this story that Australia was forged 100 years ago when we invaded Turkey. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? People who are here who are interested in peace, what are we going to do? How are we going to disrupt and stop this war? How are we going to stop this story? How are we going to tell a different story that we actually, in fact, we need to be working together? So in 2015, along with being 100 years since Anzac Day, where we, as a country, we tell ourselves that we are forged by war and that we are a community by war, I say we are a community by peace. So let's start being a community of peace. In 2015, when Talisman Sabre happens again, I'm asking that there was 2 of us this time, and in previous years we've had up to a dozen people trespassing on Shoalwater Bay military training area and saying, you're practicing for war, we want to practice for peace. And we know that costs them, but we're willing to put our lives on the line, and we're willing to come here and say, we actually want peace more than you guys want war. So if you're interested in peace, if those kids dying in Afghanistan worry you, if 1 million dead Iraqis worry you, if the future of our world, where people are going to be fighting and killing each other over scarcer and scarcer resources, worry you, then I need you to go and have a look at 100peacepilgrims.com. You can go there after tonight, you can go there and have a look and start talking to each other about governments are practicing for war, but how do we practice for peace? Because that's what we need right now. We need to practice for peace. Thanks everyone for coming along.